Hello, welcome back to Learn with Chris. I'm Chris. Today I'm going to begin a new series, and I call it Building Vocabulary. So I'm going to take you through a lot of different grammar concepts, for example, prefixes, suffixes, synonyms, antonyms, compound words, homophones, homonyms, and all of these different ways will help you build by learning, for example, with prefixes, which I'm going to start with. It's going to help you build. You're going to learn extra words through understanding what the prefixes mean. So it's going to be a long-running series of videos, and I'll make a playlist for it. And the whole point, of course, is to help you learn more words in English, because I believe that vocabulary is the most important thing to learn. You can't talk and you don't understand if you don't know any vocabulary. Grammar is important, but it's not as important as vocabulary. If you have limited time and you want to improve your English, you should be focusing on vocabulary more so than grammar. So I'm going to go through a list of prefixes. Today we're going to have 5 different prefixes, and I'll give you 5 examples for each prefix. So what's a prefix? So a prefix is when you take a little word and you put it in the front of another word, and 2 things happen with this. The first thing is that it actually creates an opposite meaning. So for example, if you had the word natural and then you put the word un in front of it, you get unnatural, which is the opposite of natural. So un is a prefix that creates an opposite meaning, right? Or possible, impossible. So im is another one of these negative prefixes that create the opposite word. Another example is il, like illogical, and ir, irresponsible. But that's not the prefixes I want to talk about today. I want to talk about prefixes that actually have a meaning. They actually mean something. And when you know what the prefix means, even if you don't know the second part of the word, you at least know what the prefix means. So you're able to take a good guess as to the meaning of the entire word. So for example, the first one that we're going to look at is the word sub, S-U-B, sub. So what does that mean? Now, most of the words that we're going to look at, most of the prefixes that we're going to look at, they have their roots either in Latin or in Greek, mostly from Latin. So sub means under or below. So any word that begins with sub, S-U-B, the second part, then it's under the second part. Whatever the second word is, it's going to be under that. Okay, so sub means under. So let's look at some examples. So the first one is submarine. Marine means water, so submarine, under the water. And a submarine is a ship, a vessel that travels under the water. The second example, subway. The way is the path or the route that you go, so it's under the route. Think under the ground. So a subway is where you would find your underground rail system or trains under the ground. In any big city would have a subway system, right? The next word is subconscious. Conscious is your mind. So subconscious is under your mind, as in you're not aware of it. So if there's some thoughts in the back of your head and they're there, but you don't know that they're there, then that's your subconscious. It's under your conscious mind. They're there, but you're not aware of it, right? So this is like a psychology related word. Then we have subterranean. Terranean comes from the word terra, which means earth. So it's under the earth or under the ground. That's subterranean. And the last example for sub is substandard. Standard is your standards, what's acceptable, related to like work or something. What are the standards? So if it's substandard, it's below those standards. So it's not good enough. It's bad work, for example. Okay, so I think you get the point now. So we're looking at the prefix, what does it mean? And then we're going to have a list of examples from that prefix. So again, anytime you see the word sub, now you know it means under something, right? So it should help you build your vocabulary to at least take a good guess as to the meaning of the word. So the next example is going to be super. Everybody knows Superman. So super means kind of the opposite of sub. It's above or beyond. Above or beyond. So first example, Superman. Superman is not a man. He is beyond a man, over a man. He is better than a man, right? He's not human. He's Superman, right? Second example, supernatural. This is beyond the natural world, right? So the idea here, of course, is that we can explain nature. We know nature. We know, rain and climate and trees and rivers and everything in the world, and we can explain all of these things with using science, but anything that is beyond the natural that we cannot explain using science, we call that supernatural. And this is like magic and ghosts and God and angels and heaven and hell. All of these things are considered supernatural because they're beyond the natural world. Supernatural. Then we have supersonic. Sonic means sound. Specifically in this context, it's the speed of sound. So if you're traveling at supersonic speeds, that's beyond the speed of sound or faster than the speed of sound. And we've been able to fly faster than the speed of sound for, 60 years, a long time. There are airplanes that can go faster than the speed of sound. I think the speed of sound is somewhere around, correct me if I'm wrong, 1,200 kilometers per hour, something like that. Next example is a superpower. Power, right? So a country, a superpower, of course, is a super powerful country. And of course, right now, the only superpower is the United States. But back during the Cold War, we had two superpowers, Soviet Union and the United States. Now there's only one. I'm not sure China qualifies as a superpower. Maybe. And the next example, the last example, is a superstar. Not star in the sky, but a star, like a person who's a star, like a famous singer or model or something like that. So a superstar is beyond the other stars, right? Okay. Moving on to our third example, inter. Inter means another Latin word. It means between or among. So example, international. So that's between countries because nation means country. So if something's international, like international relationships or international travel, if you're going to travel internationally, of course, you're going to travel from one country to another country. So you're going to go between the two countries, right? Next example is interpersonal. That's between people. And we usually use interpersonal to talk about interpersonal relationships, interpersonal communication. When two people are communicating together, that's interpersonal. We talk about interpersonal skills, for example. Next example is internet. Of course, you're watching this right now using the internet. And that's between networks. So internet, of course, is computers connected together using a network, right? So that's the internet. Next one is interconnect, connecting between things. So different systems might be interconnected or different ideas might be interconnected. So they're connected between each other. And the last example for inter is interscholastic. Scholastic means school. So it's between schools. So there could be an interscholastic competition. So you have this school and they're competing with this school for like football or something. That's an interscholastic competition. So it's between two schools. Okay? Okay, our fourth example is trans. Another Latin word, and trans means across. Okay, so the first example is transport. That literally means carry across. So of course we would use cars and trucks and ships and airplanes to transport across. So we're transporting goods or whatever. So it's transportation, right? And like if you're in your car and you're transporting yourself, you're carrying yourself across from one location to another location using your car, right? Transport. We transport people, we transport things. Next example is transmit. Mit means to send. So you send across, transmit. And normally we use this for like information, messages. We transmit sound, we transmit messages from one place to another. Like telephone, for example, would be transmitting a signal, right? Next example is transcontinental. That's across a continent. So for example, if there's a train that goes from one part of Europe to another part of Europe, then it goes across Europe or across the continent, you would call that a transcontinental train. I don't know if such a train exists, but maybe. For example, in Canada, we have the Trans-Canadian Highway, right? There's a highway that goes from the far east of Canada straight across Canada to Vancouver on the west. It's one highway that crosses the entire country, Trans-Canada Highway, right? So to go across. Next example is transform. Form is your shape. So to transform means to go across shapes, which basically means to change how you look or who you are. So we can transform our appearance, we can change how we look, we can change the shape of our hair or whatever. You can get like a makeover. And you can transform ideas, so ideas can change shape. So one idea can change into another idea, right? So you can transform ideas. And the last example is transgender. That's to go across genders. So if a male becomes a female, that's to go across genders, that's transgender. And then the other way as well, to, what did I say, male to female? Well, either way, transgender, to go across genders. And our last example is bi, B-I. Another Latin word, and bi means two. This is very easy. Two. Anything bi just means two. So first example, bicycle. Everybody knows a bicycle, so there's two wheels. That's why it's called a bicycle. Next one is bilingual. Lingual means language, so bilingual means two languages. So if you are bilingual, you speak two languages. Next one is a more rare word, bicentennial. Centennial comes from the word century. Century is 100 years. So if it's bicentennial, that means 200 years or 2 centuries. And this is not something that we use very commonly, but if your country is more than 200 years old, then you could have a bicentennial anniversary, right? You could have a centennial anniversary for your first 100 years. For example, Canada has had its centennial anniversary in 1967, and Canada will have its bicentennial in 2067, which of course is pretty far, well, not so far in the future, but 40 years, something. Next one is bi-monthly, so 2 months, although this one actually has two meanings, which is confusing. Bi-monthly can mean every 2 months, so you do something every 2 months, or it can mean you do things 2 times in 1 month, and it means both of them at the same time. And this is very strange. I don't know why we have this word, bi-monthly, that actually has 2 different meanings. It can be quite confusing. So either if something happens every 2 months, it's bi-monthly, or if something happens twice in a month, it's also bi-monthly. So be careful about that. And our last one is bisexual. So there's a lot of words that we're going to put after, there's a lot of prefixes that we're going to put before sexual. And what it means, it's the who you are attracted to. So just to give you some other prefixes, heterosexual. Hetero means opposite, right? So boy likes girl, that's heterosexual. Or girl likes boy, that's heterosexual. The common word we would use would be straight, right? And then homosexual. Homo means same. So boy likes boy, that's homosexual. Girl likes girl, that's homosexual. So sexual means who you are attracted to. So bisexual means you're attracted to two sexes. So that's a person who's attracted to both men and women. They're bisexual, right? And then there's a whole bunch of other, there's pansexual, pan means everything. There's a lot of other, and there's asexual as well, just A by itself. A means no. So asexual means not attracted to anything. So it's opposite of pan, right? Yeah. Okay. So just to recap here, we had sub, which means under, super, which means over, inter, which is between, trans, which is across, and bi, which is to. So if you master these prefixes and you understand what they mean, you're able to build your vocabulary and learn a lot of new words. Okay, so I'll be back with further videos. I have a pretty long list of prefixes to go through, so I'll make a bunch of videos about prefixes. I'll make videos about suffixes. I'll make videos about synonyms. And hopefully the whole video playlist will help you build up your vocabulary in English. Okay, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.